All right. Let's get to Buckley. He's got our Stockwatch.
Yeah, we were talking a little Oscars last segment, so let's just keep it in that realm. Last night, I did not see a ton of the show, but I did see this moment live, and that was John Mulaney, who was presenting the award for Best Sound. His presentation went a little like this.
What about that moment in Field of Dreams when we hear, "If you build it, he will come"? And then Costner does it. He builds it. Well, I guess he doesn't build it. He mows down corn, and then there is a field. And then he's like, "I'm going to watch Ghost play baseball." And the bank is like, "You want to pay your mortgage?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm going to watch Ghost play baseball." And then he finds James Earl Jones, who wrote The Boat Rocker, which I thought was a real book deep into my 20s. And he's like, "People will come, Ray. He's the only one with a financial plan." But what's weird is Timothy Busfield pushes little Gabby Hoffman off the bleachers, and she falls down, and she's unconscious. Then Burt Lancaster is Moonlight Graham. And he comes up and he pats her on the back a couple times, and he's like, "Hot dog stuck in the throat." And then he can't go back in the game, because I guess there's a rule in Ghost baseball that if you leave the field at any point to become an elderly ghost and do the Heimlich maneuver, you can't return to the field. I love Field of Dreams. That should win Best Picture.
Oh, my God.
Mulaney's great.
So Mulaney, in less than 60 seconds, summarizing Field of Dreams better than really I could have possibly imagined, but also got me thinking, is Field of Dreams actually a good movie after all the way that he kind of summed it up and put together? Buy or sell, it's a good movie.
Field of Dreams is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm probably a bit biased. Look, it's a silly movie. I understand. I love it. If you have a complicated relationship with your father, as some of us do, I don't know. I think that is the one movie. If you had to say, gun to your head, right, you had to get through a movie without crying, I would be terrified that someone would bring up Field of Dreams, because that damn thing gets me more often than not. So I will make no apologies for that crappy, cheesy movie. I love Field of Dreams. It's great.
Wait, you just call it crappy, though?
I understand.
It's not crappy.
It's very
Look.
it's very cheesy. It's very
Hey, I love Point Break in an unironic way. It's not a good movie, but I love it.
I don't know. How many movies? What year was Field of Dreams made?
88, 89,
I mean,
maybe.
how many movies are you going to go back, 30 years later and say they really hold up? Like, wow, that's really, like, look, it was made at a different time.
Yeah. Well, and it's
89.
89, yeah.
89. So for me, what's the stock again?
Buy or sell, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I buy that. I mean, by all measure, it's a good movie. I mean, that movie. Look, I think it's unfair to say that when a movie comes out in 1989 and moves people for so long, and people watch it and they're like, "Oh my God, that's great," then to just revisit it 30 years later with some comedian's
Boy,
bit,
you're upset that it's been reduced to 60 seconds.
Well, I'm not upset. I just think I'm not going to stand for that. That's no good. Field of Dreams is a good. By all measures, it's a good movie.
I think it's great. Again,
I think by some measures, it's a good movie.
It is one of my top probably 5 favorite movies. And the James Earl Jones speech, the baseball, America has been erased like a blackboard, rewritten and erased again, but baseball has marked the times. I can't listen to that without getting goosebumps. And when they did the Field of Dreams, it was the Giants and not the Giants, it was the White Sox
and somebody.
It was the White Sox and maybe the Cubs. Obviously, they did the White Sox because of Shoeless Joe Jackson. Yeah. I'm sorry, but when Costner came out of the corn, oh my God!
Remember when Tim Anderson hit the walk-off?
I had that's the sports chub. My sports pants runneth over.
Don't you think you and I could have hit a home run in that game? The way balls were flying out of there.
They had to have home runs into the corn. They had to.
Yeah, they had a bunt. Weren't there like 10 home runs hit?
Yeah,
in that
but
game?
like if they made it like tough to get one out there, it would have ruined it. So they had to make it like Coors Field.
Come on, Buckley.
Hey, I didn't say one way or the other. I just said after Mulaney reduced it to that.
But listen, Mulaney's bit was great.
It was a really good bit.
That's a good bit. That is a good bit, but I bet you could do that about a lot of movies.
I'm sure. And maybe that's what we should be buying, that Mulaney should do more sports movie bits.
That doesn't mean they're bad. Yeah.
For the record, I like Field of Dreams. It hits you right in the feels every time. But when he breaks down the plot like that, I'm like, what the hell? And I think that's fair.
There's rules.
All right, moving on, we're going to the Mountain West Women's Tournament.
Boy, this is brutal.
Yeah, you caught this one earlier. It has been making the rounds. Head coach Kayla Ard after her team lost in the tournament.
And how do you plan to rebuild for next season?
I'm not going to be rebuilding. I just coached my last game at Utah State. And I spoke with Diana, and they're going in a different direction. And I respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in. I'm assuming that's going to be the last question. All right.
Okay.
Whoa.
Thank you.
All. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. I did not see this.
Yeah, they just
Utah State?
Yeah, Utah State women's coach Kayla Ard fired before she had to go out to do the post-game presser.
Oh my God.
Buy or sell, she handled herself way better than she should have.
100%.
Yes, buy.
She
Merry
was.
Christmas, bitch.
By the way,
That's what she should have said.
that's a great quote. It's phenomenal. She handled that with amazing class. That I saw that today and just, dude, I shrunk for her. It was like,
Well, it's like, why even be there? You
Exactly.
just got fired. Why is she going to the podium?
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome right there.
I mean, do you get fined if you don't go to the podium? She's like, look,
Oh,
I need
maybe.
every paycheck at this.
That could be, or maybe she's just like, I want to be able to say that I went out with class or something like
guess.
that. I mean,
Or it kind of throws egg on the face of the
A
school.
little bit.
true, it does make them look bad.
And she probably wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she handled that great.
Whoops.
I mean,
as good as you can.
it was fine.
There's no good way to handle that, and she handled it the best she
She
could.
doesn't sound like the coach at Utah State, though.
No.
The way she's. No, can you play it again?
And how do you plan to rebuild for next season?
I'm not going to be rebuilding. I just coached my last game at Utah State. I spoke with Diana, and they're going in a different direction, and I respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in. I'm assuming that's going to be the last question.
Yeah, I don't know. She sounds maybe.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
all. Thank you, Coach.
Got a little too much of a southern
Yeah,
accent.
maybe more.
Yeah,
South.
I caught that.
Maybe a Southern Miss type of coach. No. Well,
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Maybe she can go to Southern Miss.
She's no longer the coach of Utah State, so maybe she doesn't sound like that for a reason. She's not Utah State material.
Well, maybe we keep it in the SEC, where former Vanderbilt quarterback Mo Hassan had these claims on a recent podcast, Momentum podcast.
I was approached at Jason Aldean's bar in Nashville by the Italian mob.
What?
To fix football games.
I'll be
Like-
honest, this sounds like a story
Like
that
the mafia?
I do not need to be a part of.
I went to get drinks, and I'm not with my friend group. He comes up to me.
Wait, he knew who you were?
Yes.
This is already a bad start.
He offered me $300,000.
He offered you $300,000?
All right.
He said for something like this, my clients, $250 to $300K for a game.
The Italian mob offered you $300K to do
Can
what?
we stop saying that?
He said we regularly talk to guys in your position about fixing games. He said he named guys in the SEC who I don't want to say their names because they're in the NFL right now, and that's a bad look.
deal?
It's a bad deal. But University of Alabama, I will tell you that.
Holy
He
crap.
said he said almost every game in the SEC is
This is
rigged.
too much for me.
Who is that?
So he was a guy who threw 17 career passes at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
So a no-name quarterback claiming that the Italian mob specifically, not just any mob, but the Italian mafia, has its mitts on SEC football. Buy or sell, there's more mafia influence in sports gambling in college currently than people realize.
I'll take things that didn't happen for 1,000, Alex. I love how even at the end he's like, and they offered me pause 300,000 at Jason Aldean's bar. Or, get out of here, you jackass.
Yeah, what was that about?
Really?
Jason Aldean's bar.
He's just saying that's where it happened.
And so you just, well, Nashville, Vanderbilt, but still, like, so they knew who I was. You and your 16 career passes. And by the way, if every Alabama game is fixed, why do they win every game, jackass? Like, really? Every SEC game is fixed? Stop it.
I was with him until he got to that part.
You wonder, and by the way,
the every game is rigged was
Yeah,
a little
it's like,
much
get
for
outta
me.
here with
I
that.
do believe that people could be approached. I doubt it would be this cat,
I'm
but
sure
you
it
know.
happens from time to time. We had Brandon. What was that guy's name?
Brandon Lang.
Brandon Lang, and he said you got to keep an eye sometimes on smaller conferences.
Yeah.
It's easier to do. Players are easily got, and people aren't paying attention. But when you're talking about every SEC game, yeah, because you're the only one blowing the lid off of it, douche. And by the way, if that really happened and you did blow the lid off of it, something tells me the Italian mob wouldn't take kindly to it. Like, there's a reason, like, when Paul Hornung got suspended by the NFL, Paul Hornung just shut the F up and took his suspension. Because that was the real mob, and they don't take kindly to people airing their business.
Yeah.
So you going on a podcast and trying to out the SEC, cool. Why do people, like, if you're going to lie, can you come up with something that's somewhat reasonable? I mean, just it's ridiculous.
Do you think he was there with Sydney Sweeney, as one of our texters points out?
Oh, I think it was Livy Dunn. I think she's the one. And Livy was all up on her. But
I
you know
think they
what?
probably both approached him. Is
Yeah.
the way that worked. They
Well,
knew
look,
who he was.
I don't know who's behind trying to get an athlete to help him out in games. I don't know who's behind that. It could easily be the Italian mob. I don't know, but he lost me there at the end when he's saying now. Like, and by the way, this is like there is no traction for those comments.
No.
Like not even the worst rags
are picking it up.
That like clicks are picking that up.
And here's the other one too. When you're betting on Vanderbilt football games and you're paying someone $300,000, that means that you're betting $500,000 and $1 million to make some profit. I don't know if you're familiar with the way these things work, but people pay attention when people start betting $1 million on Vanderbilt football. Like it's just.
Maybe they all spread it out, you know.
$20,000 here, $20,000 there. Yeah,
That's
nothing.
how those runners do it.
Nothing weird at all.
All right, is that it?
I have one more if you want it.
No, I love it. I think you're on a roll today.
All right. Well, then we will wrap up with this. I'll give you the buy or sell ahead of time. Buy or sell that Giannis Antetokounmpo gave us the best soundbite of the year in the NBA on his new teammate Pat Beverly.
You know, it's one of those guys that, sorry for my language, that you say he's an a-hole. When he plays on your team, like, that's my a-hole. You know, and I love it. So sorry for my language, but we love playing with him, man. He's a leader. He knows how to play the game. He's a winner. You know, I've been playing against him for a lot of years now. I don't think I ever liked playing against him. He always coming back to the game. He's like an instigator. He pushes your buttons. But like having on your own team, he makes the game easier for us. You know, he's going to make that extra effort, that extra play. He's going to dive on the floor. He's going to set the screen for you. He's going to get that extra rebound. You know, he's going to make the right pass. So I love playing with him.
It's pretty good.
Wait a minute. Who's he talking about?
He's talking about Patrick Beverly, who
Who's an
came
a-hole,
over,
but
who Dame had the beef with,
he's our a-hole.
Hey, you say he's my a-hole.
Is it the
I
quote?
agree with that.
Is it the quote of the year? No, but it's a good one. And you throw the accent in there, and he doesn't quite understand that it's, he's saying my a-hole. It's great. I'm not saying it's the best.
I don't know if it'll be the top one either, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, not the quote of the year, but I do like what he said about Beverly. He's right about that. Like it's like everybody who plays against Beverly hates him, but when he's on your team, like that's a dog, man.
We say it all the time with guys like Dylan Brooks and like Draymond Green. Like we all have those people. You hate them, but
there was a clip of Giannis that we never got around to playing because we were too football-y at the time. I think it was last month or January. But I thought it was funny when he said, Giannis came out and said, and a bunch of people thought he was serious. He said he didn't watch film. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and that was kind of making headlines like, oh my God, Giannis doesn't watch. He was being a smartass.
Yes.
He was joking.
Yeah.
Of course but he came out one, I don't know why he was so up in arms about it, but up in arms is not the right term either, but he just came out and he said, I don't really scout or I don't really watch film. I don't really know who I'm playing against.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, how could you? You're Giannis, how could you? Yeah, he's joking, dudes.
Language
Calm
barrier.
down.
Yeah. Ease up there.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a language thing. He was just being a smartass.
I know, but sometimes when someone is a foreigner, the sarcasm, it can be hard to detect.
All right, that's Stockwatch.